So you'd like to know about steampunk, would you, Jennifer? I suppose I can teach you a thing or two. Yeah.
I started writing steampunk a few years ago with Romanticism Lost, I think was the first one. And strangely, I didn't actually realise it was steampunk while I was writing it. It was only when I finished I realised I'd actually created a work of steampunk literature. I just thought it was an alternative history story.
Well, see, I'm really convinced that Wells was a steampunk because he actually laid the foundations for all anachronistic fiction. Obviously, we know of War of the Worlds. Do you know that he actually spent the time when he was writing that book? He used to walk around the park in Woking, imagining the tripods destroying the cottages. And that's how he got his inspiration.
The first book in the trilogy actually focuses on the people on the home front, rather than the soldiers themselves. There's a couple of reasons for that. My granddad didn't fight in the war at all. He stayed at home because he was a gravel pit manager. So there are lots of jobs that people didn't actually have to go to war for, and nobody ever talks about those. And I thought it was quite important to point out that you did actually have a life still going on at home.
As a contrast to that, this title here, Rise of the Steampunk Empire, that was inspired by a famous rant a writer called Charles Stross had against steampunk in general. Now, steampunk has been criticised a lot for being fascism for nice people, which is an expression that annoys a lot of steampunkers. Basically, critics of the genre say that it doesn't take into account the awful reality of the Victorian era. To be honest, I felt this was somewhat foolish because steampunk is actually set in an alternate history, so you can't claim it's supposed to be Dickensian. So, in essence, as I'm saying, steampunk can be anything that you want it to be.
Wells was in many ways a socialist. He was one of the early members of the Fabian Society, although he fell out with them later on. A lot of his work has got a social, political subtext. So at the same time as talking about science and fantasy and fiction, he was actually addressing real issues in the real world. That's what we try and do in steampunk.
Years ago I learned about the steampunk community and got involved with that. And the community is very, very unusual in that it is really, really supportive of all the people who are involved with it. From talking to people in the community, I realised that people would actually be interested in reading some of the stuff that I wrote. And I met a publisher, or a gentleman who was about to set up a publishing business through that. Goes by the name of Arkwright.
From the point of view of The Last Line as a publisher, we created the Lost Patrol to sort of give a common identity to all those who are helping out the Last Line. In fiction, the Lost Patrol is a post-apocalyptic steampunk story. It's about a patrol that starts with a single person looking for those who are lost and afraid and alone. And it gathers momentum as he gathers more people around him.
There's a new dance craze in town.